are you? I'm sitting here in my living room. You've never seen me in here before. I was thinking, like, I feel like I move like every video just depending on like who else is in my house and what's going on. So I'm like, I think it's a house tour, but only you get to see a small fragment of my house every week for 10 years. I'm just kidding. But this is my living room. So I'm in here and I'm here today to do my Why Wax video. Brittany Joyce tagged me in this really cute little tag that's been going on. If you don't follow her, I'm gonna link her channel down below. She's the cutest person ever. She's just like so nice. Her vibes are just so good. And she just seems really genuine and sweet. So if you don't watch her, you should. But anyway, yes, she tagged me, so I'm here today. I was a little apprehensive about doing this at first. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. It seems like really personal. But then I got to watching other people's videos and I was like, oh, like that is actually really cool. And I really enjoyed watching them. So I was like, well, I do want to do one too. So thank you, Brittany, for tagging me. So Why Wax? I guess I'm going to start by introducing myself. I was watching Necy. I'll tag her channel down below too. If you don't watch her, you can check her out. She's the funniest person ever. But I was watching her video and she started out by introducing herself and I was like, that's a good idea. I should do that because I feel like my first video was just like a haul or like an empties or something where I never kind of talked about myself at all. So my name's Cassidy. Everybody calls me Cassie or Cass, my friends. So you can call me that because yours are my friends. I live in Indiana currently. I have 3 kids, a teenage daughter, and then I have a 9-year-old son, and then a toddler daughter, and they're the best. Love them very much, even though sometimes they're a pain in the butt. I am a nurse. I'm a behavioral health nurse or a psychiatric nurse, whatever you want to call it. I have the coolest job ever. I really, really love my job. I love the place I work. It's like super fulfilling and just amazing. I love what I do. I am in school to get my master's degree. I'm going to be an advanced practice nurse, a psychiatric mental health advanced practice nurse. And the plan is to start my own practice one day in the future. So that's really exciting. I'm married. I have been married for 13 years and my husband, I don't know if you'll see him or not. He's a little bit more introverted than me, but he's really great as well. I have 2 dogs, a Shih Tzu mixed with a Yorkie. He's right here. He really is in desperate need of grooming. You might see his head pop up a couple times. And then a Corgi. Her name's Penny. His name's Arrow. And then I have a cat. Her name is Maple. You guys have probably seen all of them because they're ill-behaved and they're like always running around crazy all the time. So yeah, that's pretty much it about me. So Why Wax? I'm gonna put him on the floor. I'm sorry, I can't like deal with his little head popping up and down. So as a kid, my mom was always really into wax, or not wax, was always really into scent, like home fragrance, Yankee candles. She always had Yankee candles going, especially like fall and winter time. We had a place down the road from us called the Candle Cottage. It's not like a corporate business or anything like that. It's like a locally owned thing. They're not open anymore, but they were like a floral shop and she she poured her own candles and wax melts. So we would always go there with my mom when we were little and just like kind of sniff those things. And then potpourri, that like scented, Necy talked about this too. Well, I don't know if she's talking about this, but it was like scented oils that you put in like tea light warmers and warm up. Yeah, so just a lot of fragrance stuff. My mom was also really into like body care. Like she had all kinds of Bath and Body Works, like body sprays and stuff like that. And if you don't know, I've said this before, but my mom passed in 2017. She had a rare form of brain cancer. And she, unfortunately, is no longer with us. So just a lot of nostalgia, I think, in sense. I was into wax prior to my mom's death, but I think now just a lot of things do remind me of her and remind me of my childhood. So that's a huge bonus because she was just the best. Just like very artsy, very loving, the best mom that I could ever ask for. So it's really nice to just be reminded of those like really nice times during my childhood with her. So when I became an adult and I moved out on my own, my mom would always buy me like candles. Like with each season, she would always buy me like a seasonal candle, like a Christmas one, a fall one, to keep in my apartment that I lived in at the time. And so I always had those. I would purchase like Bath and Body Works candles at that time and just have them around the house. Or around, it was an apartment then, but I just have them around the apartment, like burn them in my bedroom and stuff, just kind of like cute things. Yeah, and I feel like I'm just kind of like an extra type of person. Like, I like things to be cute. I like things to be kind of like matching. So I like to have candle scents that like match the vibe of like whatever we're doing that day, or just like whatever the season is. So it was just nice to have like my place around me scented like whatever I wanted it to be scented as. So yeah, and I was a young mom, so I had my daughter. I was 18 when I got pregnant with my oldest daughter. So if you had a child when you were younger, you'll kind of probably get what I'm saying, but it's really hard to relate to other people when you're like a young person and you're pregnant or you have a kid. Like all your friends, you know, they're not moms, like they want to go out all the time. And I was just kind of working part-time, like with my husband. We weren't married, he's my husband now. Just living with him, like going to college, trying to make it. And yeah, it was just kind of like my first introduction into like being a mom and a wife and like homemaking and making dinner and things like that at a young age. So I was home a lot because I had a baby. So at that time I got really into like YouTube and beauty gurus. And I would watch like Say Anything Brooke, Leisha, she's still around. Say Anything Brooke isn't anymore. I think she's like an accountant now or something like that. But the sisters, they're blonde. I can't remember their names, but this was around 2010. And so everybody was talking about like Candles by Victoria. So I placed an order with Candles by Victoria and I got some scent shots and I got a warmer for my apartment. So that was my first vendor wax order. It was in 2010 and I ordered from Candles by Victoria. And I really loved it. Like I was like, wow, she has like, I don't order really from Candles by Victoria anymore, but she has like 1,000 scents or something. I think back then she had like 400 or 500 scents, and I was like, this is amazing that this many like things that smell differently exist. Like, great. Like I wanted to like try everything and order from her. So that was my first vendor wax experience. Then a couple years later, I'm like a hoarder with emails. So I was trying to look back through my emails because I have so many of them. And see when my first, like my next vendor wax order was. And it was, I think in 2013, and it was the Bathing Garden was my next vendor wax. So order from the Bathing Garden. When I was waiting for my order to come in, I remember like watching a lot of YouTube videos and stuff. And that was really kind of what introduced me into like, well, one, the Bathing Garden, but two, just like that there are different wax vendors out there. So I got on Facebook. I am not like into Facebook anymore as much as I was then, but I got on Facebook. I learned like about all these different like wax vendors, trying to like add them onto, or like adding myself into their groups so I could kind of see. Sorry if this keeps shaking. I'm like a mover when I talk. Adding like into Facebook groups and stuff, and just kind of went from there. I ordered from like Vintage Chic Scents, Super Tarts back when she first opened, and just got really into wax. Throughout the years, I've like added more favorites, like have come along later to my rotation of orderies. But yeah, so that's basically how I got into vendor wax. I'm not like a Scentsy person. I know a lot of people really love Scentsy. I just prefer to order vendor wax. That's just like my personal preference. I do have things from Scentsy that people have like gifted me or I bought from my friends and things like that. But as far as like ordering, I order enough vendor wax. I do not need to order any more wax. So I'm not like a Scentsy person. But yeah, And then I think if you're like a person, I feel like the common theme, well, not the common theme, but in a lot of videos, there's a theme of like loss. I think if you're a person that's experienced like a lot of loss in your life, or even if you're just a person who's like very like empathetic, there's a lot of nostalgia through it. So like I said, talking about my mom, like, or other people that I'm not gonna, you know, I don't want to go into every loss that I've had because this isn't the time for that. But other people who have come and gone throughout my life, and you smell things and they're so similar to them, or they just like bring you back to a place in your life that was really happy or just really nostalgic. I think that's really amazing, to have the opportunity to just be reminded of those things. So that's probably my biggest like why wax, is just the nostalgia of it, like walking into my house and smelling something and being like, oh, this reminds me, you know, of like my great grandma, or like, oh, this reminds me of going to the fair as a kid, or whatever it is. I think that's really, really special, and I'm really happy that like I have vendor wax to remind me of those things. And I think even now, because like I said, I've been in the vendor wax world for like a long time. That's not like a flex or anything. I just have been ordering for like, yeah, like for like 13 years. And so if you remember the blacklist that was around a really long time ago, it was like, think like Wax Chat or something, not as big as Wax Chat, but there was like a group that I was in on Facebook, and somebody, I don't know who, took all the names from this group and posted like a blacklist that vendors weren't supposed to like sell to these people on this list. If you remember that, comment down below. But yeah, so that's how long I've been around, if you're familiar with that. It wasn't because I was like scamming people or anything, I promise you. It was just, I happened to be in that group that they decided to target. But anyway, so yeah, but because I've been around in the wax world for a really long time, like especially vendors that I've ordered from for a long time, I feel like those scents now carry nostalgia for me. Like from the bathing garden, there's a certain scent that my daughter used to love when she was like really little, when she was like 5-6 years old. And she used to like always steal it and like hide it in her room. And so like every time that I melt that now, even though she's a teenager and she probably doesn't remember that, like I remember that. And I'm like, oh, this reminds me of when Izzy was like, I'm sorry. This reminds me of when my daughter was like little. And it's just like really nice and really, you know, nostalgic. So I think even now, once you've melted something for so long, it just reminds you of when you've melted it previously, if you melt wax long enough, if that makes sense. So yeah. Like a lot of other people, that's probably like my why, my biggest why. It's just the nostalgia of it, and just like the scent memories that it brings with it. I can't really think of anything else that I have to add. I just thought this was a good excuse to ramble for a little bit, and I've really enjoyed this, getting to know everybody and just seeing them in a different like situation other than just like doing a haul, and kind of getting to hear like about personal experiences and their personal life. It's been really great. I think the wax community is just a really great community of really supportive people. I mean, of course, like with anything in life, there are people that maybe you don't like as much as others, or your personalities are conflicting or something like that. I'm not saying that I have a conflicting personality with anybody out there, but I'm just saying, like, I know that maybe there are people out there that aren't so nice that comment on videos and stuff, because sometimes I see not so nice comments. So if you're one of those people, don't freaking do that. Like, that's shitty. Don't do that. Move along. Mind your own business. What's your problem? But overall, I think the wax community is just full of such kind people, and so many people that I can just relate to. I think it's another thing. Like, the community really draws you in. I watch other people's like videos, like vlogs, or just like them talking in their regular videos, or anything they do that's like not wax related. Like they post Instagram reels, stuff like that, where I see and I'm like, oh, like this is also happy of mine, or oh, that's like something I can relate to. Like, that's so funny. So I think it's just like a lot of like-minded people that I can really just relate to, and really really think are great. Just the nicest people ever. So I do not have anybody to tag. I looked. I feel like everybody's already did this video. I'm like way behind in the trends. in life in general, but also in the wax world. So I can't think of anybody. Everybody that I was seeing was either like already had been tagged by multiple other people or had already made a video. But if you're like somebody that I'm not thinking of that I missed, if you make wax videos, I watch them, I promise you. So if you're somebody that nobody has tagged yet or you haven't seen anybody tag you, I'm tagging you right now. This is me tagging you. I want you to make a video because I want to see as many of these as anybody wants to make because I think they're really cool. So if you haven't been tagged, this is your tag. Make a video, put it out there, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.